Now, a Jew, first and foremost, is never allowed to lend another Jew money with interest. We will see a Holocaust starting from this business.
What do you see?
A greater Egypt than that of my father.
Ramesses, in my heart you are my brother, but things cannot be as they were.
Take the staff in your hand, Moses. With it, you shall do my wonders.
Something else is coming, something much worse than anything before. Please, let go of your contempt for life before it destroys everything you hold dear.
I will not be the weak link. I will not be dictated to. I will not be threatened. I am the morning and the evening star.
Goodbye, brother.
But you know, the toughest thing is to love somebody who has done something mean to you. Especially when that somebody has been yourself. Have you ever done anything mean to yourself? Well, it's very important to look inside yourself and find that loving part of you. That's the part that you must take good care of and never be mean to. Because that's the part of you that allows you to love your neighbor. And your neighbor is anyone you happen to be with at any time of your life. Respecting and loving your neighbor can give everybody a good feeling.
There are enough reasonable questions to create reasonable suspicion that we've been lied to. They can't afford to keep being asked. Whether the earth actually turned out to be diamond-shaped, cross-shaped, pear-shaped, there's enough to see that it's not what we've been told. And once that is revealed, everything these governments have done becomes illegitimate. That is why it matters. And that is why they will do anything they can to keep us fighting, keep us distracted, keep us at odds against each other, just like the entire world. Whether it be Christians against Muslims, blacks against whites, government that truly has your best interest, your freedom at heart? Or does it sound like a government that wants to keep you constantly busy on paying attention to anything but what they're doing? And this truth movement is no different. Because as soon as the topic starts going where everybody could actually make a stand and say, hey, wait a minute, this needs to be answered. This is a big one. And I don't care what anybody says, the flat earth, the shape of the earth, is the biggest conspiracy and has been used to manipulate, deceive, and control us all. If, God forbid, everybody came and started demanding answers, and once they can't provide those answers, people realize they are busted. It can't be a mistake. It can't be anything but the deception and control mechanism it is. Flat Earth is not a psyop. Flat Earth destroys the psyop. Every psyop that's been used to control us for as long as they've known about it. So this system has been in power and control for hundreds of years, ever since they convinced the rest of the world that they didn't know where they live, and created this fantastical scenario to make people feel insignificant and to follow those that appear to know better. They're just better liars, deceivers, that have no conscience and will do everything and anything to everybody and anybody they can to keep that power. Because people are waking up. And no matter how much they try to suppress this flat earth movement, Oh, it's going to keep moving one way or another. You can see it. People are waking up. So now, louder than ever, I can hear that clock. Tick-tock, 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 tick-tock.
This, for sure, is an aha moment.
Turns out all of human knowledge at our fingertips made us dumb. I lost my connection to reality, stepping into a virtual one. Turns out all of human knowledge at our fingertips made life slow. But nothing moves fast enough, lost in the infinite scroll. I'm on your screen looking at you. The world out there is such a dark hue. It's so colorful here. It's so colorful here.
And when you were walking about on the moon, when you took those first hesitant steps, was anything different to what you expected it would be?
It was very unusual the way the dust would not cloud and would go out, radiate around, and then hit the ground. It had not occurred to me, nor to other people, I guess, that it would be difficult to tell when we were standing perfectly upright. It was also very clear to see, looking out toward the horizon, that we were not on a flat, level terrain. No one could ever make a statement that the moon is flat the way that people thought that the Earth was flat. It was very obvious that it curved away. I was a little surprised when, in the midst of our initial activities on the surface, Houston Control Center called and told us to stand by for a minute, that the president wanted to talk to us on the phone.
Really, the West is a cult. I mean, I've said it before. The West, America, is a cult. Now, I'm not being hyperbolic. This is why Americans specifically are immediately identifiable, no matter where they are, if they travel, you know? If you interact with an American, you genuinely feel like you're talking to someone who just has a really insular frame of reference, you know? A fabricated sense of reality, a sense of reality that only makes sense within the American cult compound. It's always a non-interaction interaction, you know what I mean? Like no actual communication takes place.
And then when you saw the Earth as this small blue ball miles and miles away, did you have any new thoughts about it?
I don't think so. We had kept in our minds for many years that we might one time in our lives be in this situation.
The simple things in life that people used to enjoy, they're no longer enjoying. Something has been rewired in our brains from these phones. We are losing the ability to connect with people. We're losing the ability to appreciate a simple moment in time. I think this constant fight for attention, this constant dopamine rush, this ability to have an endless supply of dopamine when you go down whatever indulgence you want to go down on a phone. Has done something to our brains. And I think we're at a point now that this has gone on long enough where we might really be seeing a serious change in people. Because throughout my life, when cell phones got popular, people would bring this topic up and everyone just kind of stopped talking about it because you assume, well, I can just audit myself and get off the phone and, you know, I'm going to be all right. Like a typical addict would talk that way, right? But I think now we've gotten so many generations that have grown up with this and base every waking moment of their entire life on the cell phone, smartphone. I think we might be so far into this now that to fix it is kind of out of sight at this point.
To fake the moon landing, you would have to fake all of these documents.
One of the most important aspects of any historical event is maintaining detailed records of that event. Each mission was recording everything, every detail about these Apollo missions, from the spaceship telemetry to biomedical information for the astronauts to the live visual feed, the live video feed that we're told was taken from the moon. How do you lose 140,000 reels of telemetry tapes?
Oh, come on. This is the most significant event of the 20th century. Are they taped over it?
And NASA itself admits that they don't know where those tapes are. They're gone, all of them.
If it's anywhere, it should be here at NASA's Goddard Space Center in Maryland, home to the National Space Science Data Archives.
This film you're making now, what is it? Does it have a name? I mean, have you have a name for it yet, or you?
Calling it Did We Go?
Did We Go? Okay, okay.
Doesn't have it either. The Smithsonian doesn't have it. Johnson doesn't have it.
Right. We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
NASA admitted that it had lost the original footage of man's first steps on the moon.
The reality is invented for you by people who choreograph it. There's got to be an office in Washington someplace where a bunch of people that you never heard of choreograph reality. It's not just what the next photo op is going to be. It's what is the interpretation of a given international event. And this has to be generally dispensed through the media with no questions asked. The closest you would get to something really reflecting actual behavior and actual attitudes is what happens on Fox. Fox has shows which have a little bit more of a contemporary, realistic feel. So The Simpsons, Living Color, and the other thing that is very successful is that Beverly Hills 91012 or whatever it is. The interesting thing about Bundy-like characters in all sitcoms, the universal rule of all sitcoms is fathers are weak, fathers are bad, mothers are wise. This has been with us since the 50s, and this has sent a very bad psychological message to the entire society. It has made fatherhood almost a criminal activity. And a lot of people would be dissuaded from ever becoming a dad based on the images that are presented to the public from American television shows. And this goes all over the world. And you know what? American dads lived up to the image. They eventually became just as stupid and ineffectual as there's plenty of real Bundys out there. That's the reason why that show resonates. With each administration, they get to nominate the people that they want to sit on the FCC. And the FCC, although it's not chartered as a censorship organization, they do censor either directly or by inference or by threatening people's licenses, and so certain things just don't go on the air. Because the news isn't just the story, it's how often they repeat the story, what the tone of voice is that is used to set up the story, how the story is actually photographed, whether or not they bring on a so-called expert to explain the story to you. It seems to me that in the United States, the family has been replaced by the squadron. If you look at MTV and the way the dances are set up, young people group together in squadrons. They have terms like me and my crew. Nobody's got a family because who wants to hang out with a dad? Dads are like Bundys. Then again, if you live in a neighborhood where they don't have gangs, your other options are you belong to the football team, which is another kind of a gang, or you belong to some other thing which is not a family. The family is an endangered species in this country. I think there's a nostalgia for families as an institution. but they're rapidly fading away. And more choice means more of the same. Because the minute somebody comes up with something which is successful, the natural instinct of the American is to imitate it and just clone it and beat it to death. Just as the thing I find very ironic in today's political world is that we're always talking U.S. politics about how the Japanese never really invent anything, they just copy our stuff. Well, we just copy our stuff. We're chasing our tail here.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah, they've changed the meaning of conspiracy to mean something that it wasn't really designed to convey. But that's not unusual in today because they were able to coin a phrase to seed more information and utilize even what was true for the misinformation. It's starting to flip on that because, as you sort of, I think, were alluding to in recent years, all the things that everybody said was conspiracy is turning out to be true.
I was on Google Earth and I came across something that I thought was pretty amazing, and that is that when you draw a path between 2 points on Google Earth, you can then ask it to show you the elevation cross-section between those 2 points, so you can kind of see the rise and fall of the landscape like a topographical map. So just to test it out, I drew a path from my dad's house in Denver, Colorado, to my house in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I want to show you something very interesting. When I choose to show the elevation cross-section, you can see it's basically this red line. The starting point at my dad's house is 5,394 feet above sea level. And he's in Denver, Colorado, which is the mile-high city, so that's what you would expect. But then as you move east, and you can see the red arrow move east as I go that direction, the landscape starts to change where the elevation drops down and it continues to drop. You go from the foothills of the Rocky Mountains into the plains of Colorado, Kansas, into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and then finally you get into Cincinnati, Ohio, to my house, which is 764 feet above sea level. So what's interesting is Google Earth wants us to believe that the landscape makes this curve as shown here. But the elevation cross section actually shows that the landscape of the United States from my dad's house to my house follows this path. And most of us, when we were in elementary school, learned that the Rocky Mountains, which is close to where my dad lives, is the continental divide that divides the rainfall from east to west. I'm pretty sure when I was a kid I've been to the Milner Pass, which is about 2 miles above sea level. And there's a sign that says the Great Divide separates drainage to the Atlantic from the drainage to the Pacific. It traverses America from Alaska almost to Cape Horn. And so that would make sense if the landscape does follow this topographical cross-section. I wanted to see what would happen when you look at the elevation cross-section over a great body of water. So starting at the northernmost point, as far as I can get, of Lake Michigan, and then traveling south, you can see that red line here, that the body of Lake Michigan is 574 feet above sea level, and it's level. There's no change in elevation, there's no curve. This cross-section shows what an undisturbed body of water looks like, and that's level. We know that to be true. There's 3 properties of liquids. They have mass, they take up space, and they always take the shape of their container. And so Lake Michigan from north to south is 574 feet above sea level. So then just to do another check, I wanted to see what the elevation profile would look like for Hudson Bay in Canada. Relatively a large undisturbed body of water. And you'll see here from the westernmost side, it shows an elevation of -2 feet below sea level, and it's level for a distance of over 879 miles. So what does all that mean? What I believe it means is that water is flat, water seeks its own level, therefore the idea that we're spinning on a globe is absolutely impossible.
To hear voices non-stop, 24 hours a day. Meanwhile, you know very well that you're not crazy, you're not schizophrenic. These voices keep on going, and they sound like they come from next door, or like neighbors, or even if you've got a room upstairs, it sounds like they come upstairs. They just keep on going, blah blah, they talk the whole day. You walk around in public, it sounds like people behind you are also talking about you, and they're saying all sorts of, garbage or gibberish. You turn around, there's nobody there. People in front of you, it appears as though they're talking about you. You're sitting at a restaurant, or you're at the supermarket. The tellers just appear to be like, seems like everybody's just talking about you. And these voices are just there all the time, 24 hours, non-stop. All they do is talk about you in a negative way. They seem to know it all. They seem to know your entire history. They seem to know where you work, all your friends, specific information that no other person would know but you. And it's actually very disruptive. They're disruptive. You can't work, you can't concentrate, and it just seems to be going on and on and on non-stop. This is actually called voice to skull. And believe it or not, you're not crazy. You're not the only person who's going through this sort of thing. These perpetrators or attackers or people that are causing this sort of thing are not actually close by. Even if it sounds like it's neighbors or people at the teller or the TV or whatever, they're actually sitting in a little room speaking through some kind of microphone. There's some transmitter, the voice is sent through satellite, and it hits you, it comes to your skull. It's 3D sound. It's actually advanced technology that they're deliberately doing this so that they can sabotage you and stuff up with your mind. And if you only started off, you wouldn't understand everything, but eventually, after a few months, you realize the rest of your life is also a little bit of a mess. So it is voice to skull. Just make sure you learn more about it. Make sure that you research online, that you're a little bit more informed.
Their emotions, their thoughts, their minds, their heartbeat, their muscle movements, their dreams, their thoughts. Everything they see and everything they hear is all recorded and manipulated by this technology. And all of this is made possible by the people running this program, utilizing the technology to tap into the resonant frequency of the individual's DNA.
So they can broadcast this from a satellite, a tower, over many, many miles. and yet only that particular person, the targeted individual with that particular physiological signature or DNA signature, will actually pick up the sent message, correct?
That is correct. The digital receiver is the human brain. Okay, so you could be standing in a room full of 100 people. The stream of energy, the stream of electromagnetic...
Hits everyone, but you're the only one who gets it. That's what I was saying, yeah.
It would pass right through and around everyone, and they would not even sense anything. But the victim would absorb the energy and feel its effects, because only the victim possesses that specific brainwave signature, which the stream of energy is tuned into. The supercomputer begins to monitor all electromagnetic activity of the victim's brain by way of this bidirectional stream of energy. And it begins to monitor and download all that information back into its database. The system, the supercomputers are designed to clone, to download one's entire persona and psyche back into its database.
Because of my responsibilities in surveillance as a otherwise normal security specialist, I was showed this technology at work. And it was through the perspective, of course, of the camera, and what I was told that it was obvious it was being used through the eyes of the targets. So I have seen it, and it is absolutely remarkable. It's just like a first-person, video game or something where you see right through the eyes of the individual.
When we look through our eyes, there are photons hitting the outside of our face. They don't actually make it into the part that thinks. The part that thinks is looking at something else. It's looking at some kind of weird compressed signal.
Basically, those optical signals are interpreted by the brain, and then you perceive them as vision. You perceive them as pictures and so forth, but this is all electrical signals within the brain. And so the exact same thing, the data is taken in through the eyes, and then your brain renders it in a visual form that we know as sight. The exact same thing happens with the computer. The data is sent to the computer, then it is rendered in the form of a picture that people can look at.
Images, like natural images, like what I'm looking at, have so much structure that they can be shrunk and compressed into a very tiny, what AI people call representation. So what our brains seem to do is build a very, very good compressed representation of the world. Call it a model. So just like if I have a building and there's like a blueprint or a scale model of the building, imagine I have the whole world and all of its concepts, and I shrink it down into this weird compressed representation so that it fits inside my brain.
The exact same thing happens with the computer. The data is sent to the computer, then it is rendered, and from what I understand, that's where this technology is right now. The cutting edge is trying to marry, the software that's used to render it on the computer and the actual detecting of the signal and the hacking of the signal within the human. They are isolated, they don't have a lot of money, friends, or family, and they also tend to be people that are highly, highly intelligent.
Who the fuck is that?
The aspects of this technology that they're interested in improving upon have to do with cognitive processes, processing information, and as a result, they want highly intelligent people to be targets of this program. They also tend to target people who are into what I would call alternative research. Commonly called maybe conspiracy theories, people that disagree with the government, people that are into researching things like 9/11. Also, they are interested in people that are interested in technology. I have found a high percentage of targeted individuals to be people who either are interested in or have information on highly advanced technologies, usually having to do with directed energy weapons and frequency weapons, the exact kind of weapons that we're talking about here that are used in voice to skull, and behavior modification, the works. There's many other aspects to the technology.
They see, everything they hear, everything they experience, and everything they feel being recorded till the end of time. This technology can also be used to manipulate the emotions of the target. It can induce fear, love, hate. It can cause you to be nervous. It can cause you to be confident. It can cause you to be depressed. It can cause you to be happy. It can cause you to feel any fucking emotion at any time by artificially inducing them. This technology can also be used to induce and control dreams. It can be used to control dream cycles and sleep patterns, to cause one to sleep very deeply or to cause one to not sleep at all. And this technology can also be used to mimic spiritual experiences. Joy, love, peace that passes understanding can all be induced artificially by this technology to make the target believe that they are having a genuine spiritual experience when they're not. This technology can also be used to read the thoughts of the target verbatim as they occur within your own mind. This technology is so advanced and so sensitive that it can literally make you attracted to another human being and make another human being attracted to you. And in this way, they are playing matchmaker. They're playing Cupid and actually getting couples together and making them fall in love. They are also doing the opposite. They are also breaking couples up. They are breaking up families, husbands and wives. They are breaking up children from their parents. They are breaking up businesses and corporations. They are using this to manipulate society on every level for their own benefit and gain. And they are doing so with an attitude of complete immaturity and, for lack of a better word, downright evil. It is infuriating. It is highly, highly illegal, and it must be stopped now. We're looking at this as a massive game and a massive joke that they're playing on the target and the American people. It's horrible. It's horrifying.
Shut the fuck up! Say Christ is Lord.
Hashem, we must shut him down. Oi to the Vey, Vey to the Oi.
I'm an Israeli in my heart and mind, okay? I love that country. I love what it stands for.
Imagine I have the whole world and all of its concepts, and I shrink it down into this weird compressed representation so that it fits inside my brain.
Called a digital brainwave imprint. And they take that digital brainwave imprint, that copy, that digital copy of your brainwave signature, and they download it, or I should say upload it back into their supercomputer, which is actually a conscious computer. And then they tie you to that conscious computer for life. How? By way of a continuous stream of energy, of electromagnetic low-frequency waves that are specifically tuned to your unique brainwave signature. Nobody else on Earth has the same brainwave signature. It's unique to you alone. It's like a set of fingerprints. Nobody else on Earth has your same set of fingerprints. Well, nobody else on Earth has your same brainwave signature. And what the stream of energy is designed to do is it's designed to interface and interact based on that frequency, based on your brainwave pattern. And that's how it's able to speak to. It's able to speak to and decode the neurotransmitters in your brain, and that's how they're able to turn the brain of the mind control victim into their very own visual, verbal, and auditive communication system. It takes time. They have to build a cognitive model for the purposes of being able to do that. But that's how the technology is designed to operate.
This was a white paper put out by Purdue University in 2006, and the Sentient World Simulation, SWS, went live in 2007, which represents every person on the planet within this computer matrix as a node, and every node is given an avatar, an identifier. And that is real-time, 24/7 monitoring of every person on the planet. This is primarily, but not exclusively, facilitated by the adiabatic quantum computers produced by D-Wave Corporation.
We talk often about the quantum computers, the kind of ability they've got to map and model humanity itself because of this Internet of Things that is all around us now as well. We're feeding all of our information back into this quantum computer that's basically got a virtual world where all of us have a digital avatar in there. They're able to manipulate the digital avatar in a virtual world, and that's actually translated to effects in the real world.
Simulations may become so advanced that simulated people become conscious. Variations of history may be explored, even through the eyes of individuals. Perhaps you're not the only one experiencing your life right now.
Even now, the sentient world simulation is watching you learn about it, and inside its intelligent mind is creating a second you, running different scenarios against you to see how you react.
So that they will have current prediction powers, future prediction powers, a true crystal ball. But the big secret is, once you have a crystal ball and know the future, you can add stimuli beforehand and make decisions that control the future. And so then it's the end of consciousness and free will for individuals, as we know, and a true 2.0 in a very bad way, hive mind consciousness with an AI jacked into everyone, knowing our hopes and dreams.
It's not just about slavery. It's ultimately about enslaving your soul.
Here's how I do it. I copy you exactly into a digital environment. That copy process has all of the properties we were talking about as being a soul. First of all, it's immaterial, because copying, that's not a thing, it's a process. It's immortal, it's just like you. You can put it in any environment you want, heaven, hell, make a simulation.
And man, that really taps into the whole idea of digitizing reality, the idea of having the spiritual dimension be virtually created.
M's are very much like humans, but they are not like the typical human. The typical M is a copy of the few hundred most productive humans. So in fact,
conspiracy that directed Brutus against Caesar in the Roman Senate on the Ides of March. It was a conspiracy that plotted the betrayal of West Point by Benedict Arnold during the American Revolution. It was a conspiracy that led John Wilkes Booth to the assassination of President Lincoln on Good Friday, 1865. The past record of man is burdened with accounts of assassinations, secret combines, palace plots, and betrayals in war. The tenet of conspiracy has been a dominant force in all history. But in spite of this clear record, an amazing number of people have begun to scoff at the possibility of conspiracy at work today. They dismiss such an idea merely as a conspiratorial view of history. The purpose of this presentation is to show that the conspiratorial view of history, particularly of recent history, is the correct view. That there is a secret and powerful combine at work today, that it constitutes the unseen government of the United States, and that it properly can be identified as the capitalist conspiracy. In 1963, the nation was held spellbound by the testimony of gangster Joe Valachi as he exposed the inside workings of the international crime syndicate known as the Cosa Nostra, or the Mafia. No matter how carefully criminal conspiracies are organized, eventually they're exposed because someone on the inside goes to the authorities and talks. The same is true with political conspiracies. For instance, over the years, there has been a steady stream of defectors from the communist apparatus, and through their testimony, we now have a clear idea of how that conspiracy is organized and operated. But one large piece of the puzzle always has been missing. It's a matter of record that some of the greatest help to world communism often has come from prominent and respectable leaders within the United States. Obviously, these men are not communists. As a matter of fact, most of them are extremely wealthy and are thought of as capitalists, who supposedly would have the most to lose under socialism and communism. And yet the record is disturbingly consistent, and Americans repeatedly have asked why. Why have some of the richest people in the United States, both in and outside of government, aligned themselves with leftist policies that would appear to be the path to their own destruction? And if there is a conspiracy at work among these men, why hasn't someone on the inside exposed it? The answer is, someone has. Dr. Carroll Quigley is a professor of history at Georgetown University. He is the author of the widely used textbook, Evolution of Civilization. He is a member of the editorial board of the monthly periodical, Current History. He has been a frequent lecturer and consultant for such groups as the Industrial College of the Armed Forces, the Brookings Institution, the U.S. Naval Weapons Laboratory, the Naval College, the Smithsonian Institute, and the State Department. Dr. Quigley also has been closely associated with many of the family dynasties of the super-rich. He is, by his own boast, an insider with a front-row view of the world's money power structure. When Dr. Quigley wrote this 1,300-page book of dry history entitled Tragedy and Hope, it was obvious that it would never be read by the masses. It was intended for the intellectual elite. And to such a select readership, Dr. Quigley cautiously exposed one of the best-kept secrets of all time. But he also made it quite clear that he was an extremely friendly apologist for this group, and that he fully supports their goals and purposes. On page 950, Dr. Quigley says, "I know of the operations of this network because I have studied it for 20 years and was permitted for 2 years in the early 1960s to examine its papers and secret records. I have no aversion to it or to most of its aims, and have for much of my life been close to it and to many of its instruments. In general, my chief difference of opinion is that it wishes to remain unknown." Dr. Quigley points out that during the past 200 years, while the peoples of the world gradually were winning their political freedom from monarchies, the major banking families of the world were nullifying the trend toward representative government by setting up new dynasties of political control, but behind the scenes, in the form of international financial combines. These banking dynasties had learned that all governments, whether they be monarchies or democracies, must borrow money in times of emergency, and that by providing such funds from their own private resources, with strings attached, of course, gradually they could bring both kings and democratic leaders under their control. Dr. Quigley believes that people should be more familiar with the identities of these clever banking dynasties. They include such names as Baring, Hambros, Lazard, Erlanger, Warburg, Schroeder, Seligman, the Spires, Mirabeau, Mallet, Fuld, and above all, Rothschild and Morgan. It should be noted that while the Rothschilds and other Jewish families cooperated together in these ventures, this was by no means a Jewish monopoly, as some have alleged. Men of finance of many nationalities and many religious and non-religious backgrounds collaborated together to create this superstructure of hidden power.
A democracy is a political system in which the people periodically, by majority vote at the polls, select their rulers. The rulers then have absolute power to make whatever laws they please by majority vote among themselves. In a constitutional republic, the people also, by majority vote at the polls, select rulers, who make laws by majority vote among themselves. But the rulers cannot make any laws they please because the Constitution severely restricts their lawmaking power. The ideal of a democracy is universal equality. The ideal of a constitutional republic is individual liberty. In this century, great strides have been made toward the goal of subverting our republic and transforming it into a democracy. The foremost tactic of the subverters is subversion of language. By calling America a democracy until people thoughtlessly accept and use the term, totalitarians have obscured the real meaning of American principles of government. The writers of the Constitution were anxious to safeguard liberty against dictatorship, monarchy they called it, but their chief anxiety was to protect the country against democracy. Edmund Randolph, delegate to the Constitutional Convention from Virginia, said the general object of the convention was to provide a cure for the follies and fury of democracy. Elbridge Gerry and Roger Sherman, delegates from Massachusetts and Connecticut, urged the Constitutional Convention to create a system to eliminate the evils that flow from the excess of democracy. Alexander Hamilton, delegate from New York, said, "We are now forming a Republican government. Real liberty is not found in democracy. If we incline too much to democracy, we shall soon shoot into a monarchy." John Adams, one of the giants of the American Revolutionary period, said, "Democracy will envy all, contend with all, endeavor to pull down all. And when by chance it happens to get the upper hand for a short time, democracy will be revengeful, bloody, and cruel." America was founded not as a democracy, but as a constitutional republic. We pledge allegiance to the Republic, for which our flag stands, not to a democracy. The Constitution requires a republican form of government for all states, but does not mention democracy, and neither does the Declaration of Independence or the Bill of Rights. As Benjamin Franklin left the State House in Philadelphia on the closing day of the Constitutional Convention, a woman asked him what kind of government the convention had given America, and Franklin replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." Very old and very wise, Franklin saw through the mists of time to the day when Americans might trade their freedom in a constitutional republic for the promise of government guaranteed equality and security in a democracy. And beyond that, to the day when democracy inevitably degenerates into dictatorship, guaranteeing nothing but poverty and serfdom for the people it robs and rules.
It began when this woman was watching the Twin Towers burning from her apartment in New Jersey. She noticed 3 men on top of a van, posing for pictures with the towers burning in the background.
And I could see that they were like happy. You know, they didn't look shocked to me. You know, they didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
The witness called police, who stopped the van hours later and arrested 5 men. All 5, it turns out, were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI. Sources tell ABC News, during a check of national security databases, some of the men were listed as having had connections with Israeli intelligence. At the FBI, that set off alarm bells. The FBI needed the answers to 3 important questions. Who were these men? What brought them to that parking lot on the morning of September 11th? And did they have any advance knowledge of what was going to happen that day? The men said they were just taking pictures at the time. They said they worked for a company called Urban Moving. The FBI obtained a search warrant for the company's offices.
2 SUVs were filled up with between 9 and 12 boxes and computers.
Not long after the arrests, the offices of Urban Moving were simply abandoned. Almost everything was left behind. In jail, the 5 Israelis were repeatedly interrogated and given lie detector tests. Stephen Gordon was their American lawyer.
They were asked questions if they had ever been approached by or hired by any non-United States intelligence community.
While there is still some debate among American intelligence officials, many investigators believe some of the men were part of an Israeli operation aimed at monitoring radical Islamic charities that support groups like Hamas, something lawyers for the 5 men and the Israeli government strongly deny.
These 5 Israelis were not involved in any intelligence operation in the United States. The story is simply false.
Him, her, bodies, 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 bodies!
I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just because you don't like the way another nigga talks.
Listen to me, cracker motherfucker. Listen to me, okay? I don't have that money in 24 hours. I promise to God that I will devote every second I have on this green earth to making sure you and everybody you care about sucks. You still want to talk to him? Go ahead, Teddy. Talk to your pops. I did everything. I showed them compassion. I showed them mercy. I walked away. I was the bigger man. And look where the fuck it got me. Something you want to say to me, something you want to get off your little chest, then please say it now, because after this, I promise you, I fucking promise you, there are no more chances.
Oh my God, Darth, I swear, you're in your mom's basement. I'm not in my fucking mom's basement, okay? Fucking idiot.
You don't fucking know me, bitch.
Damn, bitch. That pussy looks fucking stupid.
This is my house that I pay for. It's a humble little home, but it's my fucking house. All right? Yeah, dude, that's just the front. Don't lie. That's your mom's basement, baby. If it's my mom's basement, it's my mom's basement. Yeah.
Why would you think I'd do that?
Why? Why?
How about because this is the most important fucking thing that ever happened in the history of the world? How about that?
The important thing isn't can you read music, it's can you hear it. Can you hear the music, Robert? Yes, I can.
Remember someone is praying for you.
And a very happy family memory is
It's the fucking spouse! Wait!
the board says.
What the fuck?
Again.
You don't have to know how to make a movie. If you truly love cinema with all your heart and with enough passion, you can't help but make a good movie.
I'm sorry, Dave.
I got some bad ideas in my head.
Here's Johnny!
It's over. Go home.
The world turns its back on you.
You're beautiful. With great power comes great responsibility.
The wilderness must be explored!
Beautiful things don't ask for attention.
You don't have to be. Get out.
I don't feel so good.
I'm gonna live.
They cut my power, but I still heard you.
You met me at a very strange time in my life.
That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
You're my lemon blade, and lemon never blades.
You look lonely.
I am the father.
If you just truly love cinema with enough passion, and you really love it, then you can't help but make a good movie.